We are streaming. Hi, guys. Hello. Welcome to Funny Feedback with district-comedy.com. I'm going to now get my script, and usually it's much more professional, but bear with you. This is us all learning together. All right. I am going to get that, and I'm going to get my script ready, and here we go. Hello. And welcome to tonight's episode of Too Funny Feedback, Mike. My name is Lisa, and co-hosting the show with me tonight, as always, is Rebecca. Tonight, each of our comedians will be performing a 5-minute set. After your set, Rebecca and I will be giving about 5 minutes of feedback before moving on to the next comedian. While we invite discussion during your allotted time, we are consistently booked for the show. So if we don't have time to address your concerns, follow us up with an email, via email or on Facebook, and we'll be happy to go into more depth. Also, we don't have our timer tonight, so we'll be timing you, and we will say 1 minute when you have 1 minute left in your set. To our audience, keep in mind as we get started that our intention is to help facilitate the growth of the comedians who come to us with varying levels of experience. Also, comedy is subjective, so you may not agree with us, and that is okay. We are also learning how to give good feedback and also get online for streaming for me. Additionally, if you enjoy the show and want to support the stream, please consider making a donation while watching at districtcomedy.io or following the District Comedy platforms. The link to all of that can be found in the episode description. Now that I'm done reading all that, let's get this party started. Please welcome our first comedian of the evening. It is John O'Keefe. All right.
Hey,
John.
hello. Are you well? Yes. Okay. Good. So I saw a terrible thing today. I saw an Irish man wearing shorts. Oh my God. An Irish man wearing shorts is kind of like a pig wearing knickers. Just cartoonish and grotesque. I was looking at this guy in shorts queuing for a latte with his legs all on my face, and I was like, sir, the bottom half of you needs to be medicated. That ankle is crippled with anxiety. Your calf must be put down. Your shin is so wide. I can see bone under bone. Come on. I'm not sure if you need more milk or less milk, but you need some form of milk intervention. You're emanating pure dairy. Please, for the love of Jesus, wear some trousers. If not for me, for the women and children. They don't deserve this. I think if I ever run for public office, that'll be the core of my proposal. No more Irish male hairy legs disturbing the peace. It's important. I don't really know what Gen X is. I used to always think it sounded like a superhero franchise. Am I right? But now I found out. I always thought. I thought they came after millennials, who are technically called Gen Y. A question. Jen, why did you leave? I can change. No, you can't, millennial. Go to work. Be unfulfilled. You thought you were special. That's why she left you. I'm a millennial. I think we're the worst people who ever lived. I really do. Barely a millennial. Except until whatever this new generation is. Gen Feelings. You guys make us look like heroes. Who's your poster child? Greta Thunberg. She seems like a hoot. I'd love to be lectured about my problems from a cartoon nerd. That's exciting. Why do people who sit on... Okay, I was in the park the other day, and I was wondering, why do people who sit under trees think they're better than everyone else? So you've noticed it too, right? They're looking over and they're just like, oh, I got shade. And I'm like, and you look stupid. Boom! Now you got shade. Like, who sits under a tree? Like, you don't have to prove to me you're an asshole. No one wears a sweater like that for fun. What are you training for? A college brochure? I don't like it. When I was in the park as well, I noticed that animals do not respect boundaries. That is, every pigeon's a creep. I am not a fan. Bunch of fat-necked fucks, like I was like looking like, you called that a mating dance. She's not interested. Take a hike. You know, Find a quiet bush and sort yourself out, you pathetic bird. And don't even get me started on those goddamn ducks. Bunch of perverts. Don't feed the ducks because you're just bringing bread to an orgy. You're fueling their lust with carbs. Every time a duck, I can't prove this, but I think every time a duck quacks, he's probably being racist. Just a hunch, but I know. I can see it in his eyes. But my favorite thing to do in the parks is to watch boys. I should probably clarify. I just mean watching them act like kids, because like boys are animals. There was a swan sitting dignified on the lake, and this kid picked up his pebble and screamed, "I'm going to hit him!" And his mother was like, "No, Fenton, stop. You need a bigger rock if you're really going to get him some damage." And then the mother took out a series of rocks she brought with her from home. I was like, this lady means business. No, she was a good mother. She was horrified with Fenton's intent. I was horrified she called him Fenton. Kind of a dumb name is that for a kid? Is it short for fentanyl?
1 minute.
I'm like, no wonder he's a psychopath in the making. No, she bent down and she was like, "No, Fenton, we don't do stuff like that." And then she's making eye contact with me to prove she's a good mother. I was like, the fact she cares about my approval is a sign she's not fully there. For sure. Like, if she'd any sense, she'd tell Fenton to throw the rocks at me. Because I deserve it. The whole time she's there telling Fenton no, I'm thinking like, I want to see if this little shit has good aim. You know? Why not let him miss and then shame him into not doing it again? That is a tried and tested Irish tactic. It works like a treat. Fenton, you missed, you colossal failure. Oh, I don't love you, and I hope the state takes you away from me so I could be happy again. Okay, that's too harsh. I agree. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks for having me. Thanks, folks.
Right. Thank you, John. Everybody give a round for John. Yes. That was my timer, so you ran right to it. There you go. Let me unpin you.
Winning.
There we go. You, Valerie. I'm learning tonight. Thank you, everybody. All right. So, Rebecca, if you want to go first, I would appreciate that as I do technical things. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, John, it's always a treat. I just want to walk down that park with you and just listen to all of your observations. Always. It's so funny. So many observations. Like, you're like, don't even get me started on ducks. I would love for you when you were just like filling their lust with carbohydrates. Don't throw that away. That's a line. So really just showcase that. But I had like 2 suggestions for writing.
Okay.
For you. When you're talking about like the person sitting underneath the tree and they're like, I'm better than you, I have shade. And then you said, "You're stupid." Boom, now you have shade. I'm wondering if you could say, instead of "you're stupid," something specific about the inconvenience of sitting under a tree, of like, "Well, you have ants going down your shirt." Boom, I appreciate it, or something like that.
Yeah, that could work. That could work better for sure. I like that.
And then the other thing was, I love when you were talking about like the pigeon mating dance. And I'm wondering if you could find a way to really describe, a funny way to describe a pigeon mating dance. It just like with the bobbing of the head, relating that to something to do that humans do, doing some sort of metaphor there, just to kind of specify that image. So then when you talk about the mating dance, it's even funnier because we really have it right in our head.
That's a great suggestion.
But those were 2 ideas that popped into my head. Take them or leave them, but it's, always a treat to watch you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi. Okay, so it's my turn. Great. Sorry, I'm learning all the tech stuff tonight, so I appreciate everyone's patience. And John, you do not go twice. I just put the set list up, and it's the other order. Sorry. All right, I'm going to remove all pins and pin myself. Now I understand the magic that Tom did. So he is amazing. So I really always enjoy your set. So you know that. I love that you're a repeat offender all the time. You come back for more. But what I want to say is that, like, I felt you're just always so present, and you're always so there, and I really appreciate that. But I felt like the energy was a little bit lower than normal. I know you've slowed down the pace, which I've encouraged, which is awesome. But I think that there are moments where you pick it back up. just especially when you're talking about the kid and the throwing of the rocks, I feel
Yeah.
like that was there's a real opportunity for some like throwing the rocks, Fenton having the sorry, I'm looking at chats. Sorry, Kathy. Yes, you are in there. I apologize. You're at the end.
No worries.
Thank you. Cut and paste, not my friend tonight. So, but I feel like there's a real opportunity because you're so good at like when you turn to the side and adding all those characters in. I think that you can have real fun with that. Throwing the rocks, maybe at, you know, if you want. This is something you can play with. But I definitely think that you can have fun with like how she talks to Fenton. I love that you chose Fenton. The name is fantastic and how you talk about it and go. And I think that I like that bit a lot. So I feel like that's a place where you can really pop up the energy, have fun with the voices, or even just the turn of the head, because you're really good at that with that set mic and just turning. You've really, I feel like, mastered that. So I think that I think that would be my major note tonight, and just pumping up. I know it's like what, it's 2 a.m. there, so it's like get your energy up. No, but so, but I really I feel like that's my just an overall note, because I feel like there's always such solid work. There's always I like that this was a lot of new stuff that I hadn't heard before too. So, and just but I feel like the bulk of it, I did like the shade stuff, duck stuff. Like I loved that, and sort of leading into going into seeing this boy throw the rocks and the mom. So in general, that's pretty much my note. Just having a little bit more energy and animating, especially in that part of your set.
Fair.
So thank
okay,
you, John.
That's great. Thank you. Thanks.
All right. Woo. Thank you, John. All right. So okay. So yes, you can do that. Typically we keep the sets. I see them looking in the chat about 5 minutes, but tonight has been a night of learning. So especially for me. So yes, you can go 50 seconds. All right. So let me see, you can record the set. So yes, I'm going to ask Rebecca. I think everyone will have to do permission and can record the set. So
would you mind if I just told you how to do it quickly? I run a Zoom mic, so I know.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay. I'm sorry I'm not starting off as a
no, it's okay.
Stellar here. This is my
if you go right into my box and click on the 3 little dots.
Yeah, we got it. Allowed to record. We got it.
That's it.
All right.
And you're gonna hear it, or you're gonna hear it now say about to record, and then when I'm done, it's gonna say it again, which is a new feature, which is so annoying.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But you'll know that I started and stopped.
Okay, so I said allowed to record, so then you're gonna play. All right.
Okay.
Nice. There you go. Thank you. Thank you, Zoom. All right, so we're consenting, and I'm gonna pin you. So welcome to Heather. Wonderful to have you, everyone. Welcome her to our Too Funny Feedback mic tonight. Heather Lerman, yes.
Thank you, thank you. My dream was to be a flight attendant and travel the world. But back then, you had no shot unless you were hot. And I mean, I did a lot of shots, but that's another story. So in training, they turned us hot whether we wanted to or not. The hair, the makeup, the diet pills. Things were different back then. Sure, we learned terms like weight and balance, meaning don't gain weight and keep a balanced diet of Slim Fast and Adderall. You gotta realize, we had weekly weigh-ins. You were either Kate Moss or Kate from This Is Us. One got to fly that day and one got sent to fat camp. The things I really needed to learn was how to use the drink cart. The drawers are so sticky and stuck, and I was pulling and yanking, and bam, Bloody Mary mix dripping down my face. I looked like Carrie, you know, that horror movie, and I smelled like an alcoholic. And I also didn't learn how to handle the drunks. Come sit on my lap, baby. And I don't mean just the pilots. I can't blame them. Airline terms they sound sexual, right? Landing, strip, thrust, blow into the tube. Now it's all, are you interfering with a crew member, sir? Sit down and shut up. I felt like a beautiful model back then. Everything was slick and easy. Our lipstick was perfect. Well, it had to be, or we were written up. Now it's so different. You could be a flight attendant and weigh 600 pounds. Isn't that a show? No offense. No offense. I'm not talking a little bounce to the ounce. I'm talking a little too much weight, not enough balance. Sometimes you can't take off. Now they have that show, 1,000-Pound Sisters. I knew I recognized them on my last flight. Nothing personal. I wouldn't want to be on that flight unless my captain was Sully. We used to be so discreet, giving the overweight passengers a seatbelt extension. Now they make it an announcement. Hey, fatty in 3C, you need to pay for the whole row. Today, if anyone speaks, shut up or we'll land the plane. I'm calling. Sorry, I just threw that in. I'm calling I forgot. Whatever. They're flight Nazis. They're like flight Nazis. We would only have 2 genders, gay or straight. Now it's LBGTQIA+, and some of these flight attendants are ASSHOLEs. You know, JetBlue hires tons of cops, NYPD. After they serve you drinks, welcome to New York, they pull your ass over for a DWI. It used to be you could put vodka in a kid's bottle and he'd be out. It was fine. Today, if you have a drink next to a kid, you're on the watch list and probably an alcoholic. It's 8 a.m. going to Orlando. We used to give free blankets and hand them peanuts. Now you say the word nuts, you better be officially insane or those passengers will kill you with their EpiPens. But we used to hang out in the cockpit, and I mean, they put the cock in pit. Not me. I was the lookout. Someone had to fly the plane. The pilots were usually too drunk, they needed to sleep it off. So that's why I had to take 50 Adderall. I mean, someone had to get that plane to Australia. I really cared about the passengers. The pilots would sexually harass us. The only thing about Me Too back then was they wanted me too. I did the flight announcements, and I guess my voice sounded raspy, and I guess it was from all the cigarettes I smoked. I ended up sounding like a phone sex operator. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Virgin Airlines, where we make every flight feel like it's your first time. Your life vests are under your aft. Tug hard on the strings to inflate and blow into the tube. In case of a ditching, we have extra flotation devices. The flight attendants are all equipped with extra breast implants. Not me. We didn't have support animals back then. We had support bras.
1 minute.
And we had great layovers. I mean, we got laid over and over. The great thing is, I learned that I love to travel. I know how to lose 10 pounds by tomorrow. I mean, that is Australia time. I'm not that good. And things got better, right? You could have your own show and weigh 1,000 pounds. You could throw people off the plane now, and you could identify as a goat and be your own support animal. Now give me a standing ovation or I'll throw you out of the club. Thank you, everyone. I'm Heather Lehrman.
All right, Heather. Woo! Everyone give a big round of applause for Heather. Fantastic. Lehrman, so great to have you on. All right, so let me get you unpinned and move back. Rebecca, if you don't mind going first again, just as I'm navigating all the tech stuff, I'd prefer you going first tonight. So thank you.
No worries, no worries. That's fun. I mean, that's a lot of content packed into the 5 minutes. It's really, really impressive. The first thing, and I'm wondering if it was just because it was in the very beginning, you started saying back then, but you didn't establish the time for us.
Yeah, I don't want to be like saying my age, really.
Okay. I mean, like, would you?
Back in the day, you know,
Okay.
I could say something like years ago, when I was, I did have when I was in my young 20s, and someone said, take that out.
Oh,
I
mean,
should
like,
leave it.
I mean,
I should put it back in?
I guess when you said back then, I was like, oh no, did I miss the exposition of like which back then? So maybe if you say to go, then that we're just like, oh, okay, back then. We get it now. But yeah, no worries. There were like a couple of times, so you had so many jokes, and there were a couple of times where I felt like there could be moments where you could almost like up the ante a little bit and get super specific. And there were 2 moments that I made a point to kind of like write down. I loved your joke of, and I'm gonna not say it verbatim, and I apologize, but it was something about if your lipstick was perfect, and because if it wasn't, you were going to get written up. I'm wondering if there was a way that you could up that stake of like, maybe like they really would write you up, but like if it wasn't perfect, they were going to write us up, fire us, and throw us off the plane or something like that. Just like really finding a way to like make it crazy for having messed up lipstick, the consequences. Another time that I wrote down was kill you with the EpiPens. I'm wondering if you could like get really specific with what like killing of like they rise up and they stab us to death with our EpiPens, and really paint that picture, because it's funny. And just
I just want to tell you very quickly, normally on Zoom shows I make the clicking noise and everyone laughs, but on live stage, which I'm going to do this for in New York City, I'm not going to bring a pen and do that. So yeah, I wanted to make that funnier.
Sure, yeah, and I mean, it is funny on its own, just as it is. But I would say, like, if there is a way just to kind of like imagine, like, what would that look like if they were killing you with EpiPens, and how could I put that into a tight sentence, like a nice specific bit. But I mean, so those are like the two examples that I thought of, just like, I love when the jokes are like really specific images, and that's just my personal preference. But but it was fun. It was a really fun journey, and he painted a lot of really funny images, and I can't wait to get on a plane again.
Thank you. All right, let me unrecord.
Yes, I didn't want to stop your feedback. So let me remove your pin and add me in. So no, I really enjoyed, I thought that was, you have a great energy. So I want you to keep up with that. So as my focus more, Rebecca's more of the writing background. I am a bit more of my theater performance background too. We both sort of interject on different ways, but I want to let you know, I know you said you're doing this live. So this is for a live audience. You're practicing this for the live gig, right? Correct? Ooh, Heather, is she there? Did she stopped her? Okay. Well, I'll give my feedback. I hope soon she'll. All right, there you are, Heather. You had stopped. Sorry,
yeah, I froze. Sorry.
No worries. So I'm saying you're doing this for a live gig, correct? So because I would say about like with the Zoom, I'm often focusing on that with just your background and your lighting, and that the contrast, which is fun. But I want to let you know, I think because you say you have your own Zoom mic, like this is our little world, and you can make it whatever stage you want. So I like that it's vibrant. I know I kind of feel like I already know your energy from it, and that obviously these are all choices you made, and it's sort of you're presenting yourself and you're there. So with that, I feel like it does support all of the type of the comedy that you're bringing, and the fun vibe. I really, it was funny. I was writing down, I liked all the flight attendant stuff, because I love the first person and sort of what going in and having that. You sort of you have the setup, you set us up, the sort of the experience and the punchline, and through the experience of that. And you did get through a lot of material pretty quick. And knowing that when you're in a live audience, you know that's going to be broken up a little bit. So when you did have that moment of ad lib and it sort of threw you off for a moment, you just get right back into it and let that be, and you'd be like, what is that called? Or, you could be like, I worked there for years and I still can't remember their name, like making a jab of yourself. I always find that a little bit of
the word.
The marshal, your marshals. Is that what you were looking for?
No, when they, security, Homeland Security.
Homeland Security.
That's what I was trying to think of.
So if you can't think of it, be like, I worked there for years and I still can't even remember them. So like you can make, so I always say like a moment of self-deprecating humor. If it becomes like, oh, I'm a little bit off of the set, you can bring it right back with something like that. Just having like something that you always know in your back pocket that can bring you right back in and keep the audience with you, so that, even if they've seen the man behind the curtain, as we say, you're right back in there and you're going for it. Also, because there's going to probably be in the live setting versus the Zoom, there's going to be a lot of laughter and pauses. It's going to change the energy and the rhythm of your set. So you want to keep that in mind. So the more you can have those little back like pocket nuggets of like, that's just going to aid you, that will get you right back and keep you on course. So, but what I was saying with the flight attendant stuff, which I really like, is that the announcement. I was like, I want her to do it. And you started to do it. I was like, yes, good. I want you to do that in flight. And I think you can have so much fun. You can, if you want to go super sexy and like, you can even hold the mic differently. Like, I feel like that's a way, especially in a live audience, you can really have a lot of fun with that, manipulate it however you want on certain words. Does that make sense to sort of emphasize the innuendo that you're doing? But I think you can even go, because you talk about this raspy voice and you lowered it, but you can even, you know, sound like you smoked that pack of cigarettes. You can, you know, whatever, even more. I think you can have a lot fun. And the confidence you bring to it is only going to get us more invested. So yeah, those were my major notes over that. I feel like if you're, like you said, tripped up, just jump right back into it. And I love, you said like, it's 8 a.m. You're talking about like, you're showing little scenarios and clips of like the journey as the passenger. Why are they in Orlando? Like 8 a.m. You can throw little things in that sort of even add to that joke. So, you know, Orlando, well, they're going to Disney, or they're 8 a.m. Like little nuggets of things that make it a little bit more specific about that person that can add to the story. Does that make sense?
Like you're really looking forward to Disney, aren't you?
Yeah, like things like that. So that just makes it a little bit more specific. And obviously you have a wealth of knowledge. So just taking those little diamonds in there and inserting them so that we even get a clearer picture and that you have a laugh within the laugh that supports that big buildup. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, those are my major notes. Thank you so much for joining us, and I wish you having a break a leg. Is that what they say in my world?
Thank you. I'm gonna stick around for a while. So.
All right, thank you. So next up, all right, and I'm sorry if I do the 1 minute thing a little late. I'm like, oh yeah, I have to do the timer. Tom was a miracle worker, so I'm gonna. I've never missed Tom so much. No. So we have next. She's been with us a few times. Very excited always to have her, and she is going to be recording her set. I have everyone give a big round of applause to Amira Abu Al-Assad. Yes.
Thank you. How is everyone?
Great.
Good.
I don't care. This is about me. Okay, so my dad told me if you keep crying, people aren't going to love you anymore. Then he said, happy birthday. My family supports me like an old bra. They leave me hanging. I was wearing this tight shirt, ready to go out on a date. And my dad's like, you're putting a sweater on, right? It's too tight. I'm like, you know, it doesn't really matter because if the date goes well, it's coming off. Am I right, Dad? He did not like that joke, along with the rest of my jokes. My dad's diabetic, and I used to be really concerned about him because he keeps eating sugary foods. But then he got on my nerves. So I was like, do you want another piece of cake? I take really good care of him. I get him life insurance and extra cake for his birthday. When people come over, I like to remind him, like, even if I already know he took his insulin shot, I like to remind him so they think I'm a good person. Okay, so I live with my dad, and he had an allergic reaction the other day. So like a great daughter, I texted him, you alive? So one of my favorite things to do is play my dad's favorite song by Whitney Houston. And right when he gets into it, I turn it off. And he's like, hey, why'd you turn it off? And I'm like, how does it feel to have something you love get taken away? And he's like, when did I take anything away from you? October 7, 1997. You took away my fourth mom with the divorce. She was my favorite. All right, so it was like Ramadan, and that's like when you're fasting for 16 hours, you can't eat. And I was like, hey, Dad, I'm really tired and hungry. Can you please cook for me? He's like, you're 30 pounds overweight. Cook for yourself. You're not withering away. Okay. So my dad asked me why I hate him so much. And I was like, because you're controlling, you don't listen, and you didn't let me have friends with fathers or brothers. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I told you this last week, but I wasn't listening. My dad only listens to half of what I say. And I was like, did you hear there were 2 women on the news that were stabbed to death? He's like, oh no, are they okay? Yeah, Dad. They're okay. okay, so I applied for a job and I was asking my dad that's like not from here, like what I should do. He's trying to tell me to like wait for them to call me, but he told me the frisbee's in their yard now. What? Do you mean the ball's in their court? I was asking my dad where I can go out on a date, and he's like, "You guys can go to hell." My dad's the type of guy that likes to watch children's movies. One of his favorites is Aladdin, but he pronounces it Aladdin because we're Arab. He'll get really into it. He'll make popcorn. He'll pause it if he needs to use the bathroom. He won't pause any other kind of movie. And he has this like little drum and he sings along. He'll be like, I can show you the world, shining, shimmering, splendid. Tell me, princess, now when did you last let your heart decide? And I'm like, hey, Dad, can I talk to you? I feel a little lonely. He's like, no, go away, whore. Some foreigners have problems pronouncing some words, but he has no problem calling me a whore. He does struggle saying appliance. He says appliance. But I don't know why he wants Jasmine to be his like secret daughter. He even named my sister like Yasmin, which is the Arab version of Jasmine. But like, I don't know. She's not really modest at all. And she's like wearing a bikini top to dinner. She like, you know, married a guy after knowing him an hour and 31 minutes. 1 minute. And she let Aladdin ride her carpet on the second date. Another one of his favorites is Annie. He'll sing along with that one too. He'll be like, tomorrow, tomorrow, I love you, I love you. It's only a day away. Hey, Dad, can I talk to you? I feel a bit suicidal today. He's like, no, go away, slut. I guess there won't be a tomorrow. So my family and I went to the Dead Sea. It's like super dead there. Like nothing can live in there. And my aunt was trying to warn us all, don't open your eyes or it'll burn really bad. And my dad doesn't like people telling him what to do. So he opened his eyes. And I was like, hey, why'd you do that? He's like, I wanted to see the fish. You want to see something dead and empty? Why don't you look at my diary? Thank you, guys.
Woo-hoo! All right. All right. Thank you. Let's give it up for Amira. There's my timer. Nice. Great job tonight. All right. So I'm going to pin you off of the. All right. I'm going to add Rebecca. And you can go ahead, Rebecca, whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Amira, you're like the queen of the one-liners. You kind of remind me of like Mitch Hedberg, of just like, you just like line after line of great stuff. And I just have like a couple of suggestions for you. But I mean, I love how you just have brand new content every single time. It's really impressive. When you're, oh God, I don't remember this joke. I don't remember the joke, but it's something about, when you go like something, am I right, Dad? What joke was that?
The tight shirt. Yeah. He said, put on a sweater.
And it's like, it's going to be coming off. Am I right, Dad? Could you like go up for like a high five and then like have a moment of like your dad rejecting you and you're like, just kidding. And then go right back into like, I think you said you have like another line after that for that joke, but just like a quick high five to show that he is not going for it. That might be kind of funny to explore.
Maybe you could say he left me hanging again, like because I have the hang.
Yes, because of the joke of the hanging. Yes, 100% there. Your stab to death joke was great. I think that you could. Sometimes when you deliver your jokes, you move really fast, and that's great. But I think with your stab to death joke, you could, when your dad is like, "Are they okay?" I think you could get away with saying "stabbed to death." No, but they're fine, Dad. Of just like clarifying, like if we, just in case we like missed it, it gives us a chance just to kind of catch up. I know that's sort of explaining your joke, but I think in that specific moment, you could get away with it to even like act it out of like, Dad, you're dumb. Just something to play with there. One thing for your Dead Sea joke about your dad like not wanting not wanting to be told what to do and everything, and he opens his eyes. I'm wondering, as you like tell that joke, could you actually like act out concerned of like, Dad, why did you do that? If you wanted to say something, Dad, like read my diary. And if you act it out like that, of just like genuinely being concerned and going into your punchline of genuinely being concerned, I'd be interested to see how that hits. But those are just like the 3 little things that I wrote down. Always like a joy. Just your lines are great. Your one-liners are just fantastic. And you roasted your dad really well today.
Thank you.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna come back into the scene. I'm learning all this fun stuff. All right, so hey, it was I really enjoyed your set. I saw a lot, some older some material that you've done before, which was awesome, and newer. Like, and I thought it was really solid. And I think this is the first time you've totally stayed focused on just your dad, pretty much. I think you've interjected, but it worked. I really enjoyed it. Your dad is a wealth of opportunity here. No, so I really, really enjoyed it. I thought that I loved your opening, first of all. I loved, how is everyone? And like, you got us all like, hey, we're good, you know, because it's really hard on Zoom to, you remember we said we always talk about the check-in and making sure that everyone's present with you and taking a moment, because Zoom rooms, you can be isolating in its own way, or you're not, you know, you have your set coming, you're starting it off. Great way. And then I love how you flipped it. This is all about me. Like, forget you. I thought that was a really fun switch of energy and got us invested even more. Like, oh, okay, let's get on this ride. This is fun. I loved all the happy birthday. I keep writing nice, awesome. Like, I buy my dad, you know, health insurance and another piece of cake for his birthday. So these are a lot of fun. And like, I do agree with Rebecca's like the one-liner, like Mitch Hedberg thing. That when she said it, I was like, yeah, sort of. The deep thought of like your dad and the things he does. I texted you, are you alive? So there, that's fun. And it's funny, EpiPen seemed to be the thing tonight. So talking about that, and you can be like, I think that it was that one I texted him, you alive? Like, I texted him, you alive? I feel like I got the joke. I think there could be a small pause. I texted him like just casually, like, you alive? You know, you can even ask, you know, you alive, or emoji, you know, I don't know, like you could be like emoji this or something like that. But I enjoyed that. But I feel like I almost lost you alive. I think there could be a hair in between. I texted him, just you alive. I just want to have that. There was a slight pause. I wanted, because that's a really funny moment. Or a tag, like a punch, a line. I loved the October 7th, like 1997. I feel like that's a really good opportunity for a change of energy if you wanted, like an investigative reporter, like October, you know, when kids are like, no, this is when this happened. You can like even lean into it and be like, just change. It's so amazing with Zoom, how just a maneuver of an angle can just have a real impact. Even if you just lean into it. No, I know this was the date that this happened, my 4th mom. And I don't know if this was an ad lib or not tonight. She was my favorite. That was great.
I just thought of her, but yeah.
Thank you for doing the prop. We know we talked about it and bringing in the little thing. I feel like it was fun because it just came out of nowhere, but even you could just, I feel like, you know, you're bringing it in because it's a prop. Acknowledging that the prop is there with the audience is something you can do in Zoom, sort of like, you know, if you're bringing it up and it's sort of oh, we're doing this, like, you know, that thing sort of, it came in kind of a little, I would like you to play with it. I think I enjoyed it. I love a good prop, but, and obviously it's something you could do specifically with Zoom, but if you have like more of a moment of like, and here it is, and you're going for it, just going right in. I think that might just playing with that moment and seeing how it feels. If it doesn't play well, you take it out, but, you know, having a way of just going right into it. And I love that you do the voice with your dad. You do such a great job of that. And the, how you say I loved all the Aladdin stuff also. She let him ride her carpet on the second. That was great. That was great. She wears a bikini to dinner. Yeah. So I thought that was all really fun stuff. So, those are really just more of my, because they're one-liners, breaking up the energy and finding ways to sort of create an up and down of like that lovely bongo, maybe with the Tomorrow song, you don't have a bongo, but maybe there's a posture, the way your dad sings it. And then when you come in, you know, him not acknowledging you or calling you that, you know, things like that, just having ways to even animate him or the jokes in between. So like you sort of give it I would say, not that it's not fluid, but you know what I'm saying, like a different energy here, just even through a camera angle or something like that. But I honestly, it was really fun. I loved that I got to see a lot of stuff that you listened and wanted and tried out. And I hope that, you know, how it feels to you and if it's successful. So thank you. All right, everyone give it up tonight again for Amira Abu Al-Assad. Yes. Awesome. All right. So we have now, I'm so excited. She's come back again. Thank you so much. Tonight we have Helen Smith. I'm going to get you up there one moment. I'll let you know when I'm going to remove my pin. I'm going to pin you. Everybody's getting pinned tonight. All right, everyone, again, let's give it up for Helen Smith. Woo!
Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great night. I am really enjoying myself so far. Statistically speaking, women are much less likely to be believed for their pain, which is really unfortunate. So I'd like to begin this by saying the true most pain I have ever felt was getting an IUD, and it was truly the worst thing I have ever felt in my life. But the second most painful thing was when I broke my wrist. And so I was an 8 or 9 out of 10 on the pain scale. And I'm sure everyone has broken bones. It turns out either when you've broken a bone or multiple bones, you feel that you know, and you have to know. And if you've broken it, you can't leave. So the first time I broke a bone ever, I broke my thumb playing softball. And my parents were like, let's just leave the minor emergency clinic. We are all hungry. We are all tired. You're probably fine. And I had to say, no, I think something is wrong, but more screaming it and crying it a little bit. Ditto with the broken wrist. It turns out there's a whole other class of people who somehow breaks bones and are just like, oh yeah, the next day I thought it still felt kind of weird, but I think that's a myth. So you are welcome to try to change my view after the show, but I do not believe you. So I am firmly in the camp that if you break a bone, you feel it, it hurts, and you are the person who gets triaged because you cannot help but make a ton of noise. So I broke my wrist and was moved pretty quickly back to the hospital to have my own little area because I really, again, couldn't stop crying and making noises. It was just awful. It was like the equivalent of having your neighbors overhear you having sex, but instead it was the hospital and I saw all of them watching me and it was a negative feeling. And so I was just there. I didn't know that you could ask for pain meds because I didn't want to be thought of as looking for pain meds. Like, yeah, you know, I want them so bad. I'm such a junkie that I took a sledgehammer to my wrist, thought I would bust it up, thought it would be worth it. So I was just sitting there in pain. At some point, though, I noticed that there's a TV in the room with me. So I turn it on thinking, sure. It turns out you have to watch an advertisement for the hospital to watch TV. And this ad is as though you aren't actually at the hospital. It's like, have you ever thought about where you'd go for an emergency? You know, why not consider the University of Chicago Medicine? We have a hospital. It's in the south side of Chicago. You could maybe check it out. And another thing is we're open weekend nights, daytime mornings, and you're just sitting there like, okay, great, I get it. And you can't fast forward it. And so upon watching all of that, I saw that I could watch TV or visualizations was a setting. So I saw visualizations and I thought, yes, I had a Windows computer growing up and we would watch visualizations for songs, just very calming little swirls, little colors. Neither I nor my friends had done any sort of drugs at the age of like 7 or 8. So we were like, wow, you know, just really mind-blowing stuff. So I thought this is the perfect thing to distract me from my wrist. Not so. So to the hospital, visualizations meant you're like watching things, like a video. You're not visualizing anything. So it would be like, here's a ship, and it would be called ship. Or here are people walking, and it would be called like people walking. Or like, here's a roller coaster. And then that one would probably just be like a frame of a roller coaster. That would probably be the one that didn't move because all of them are very boring and basic. I don't know like what disease they are trying to accommodate for, where it's people who cannot take in any dramatic stimulus, but that must be built for them because it was no distraction at all. And so what I settled onto was called On the Farm. And I mean, On the Farm was absolute trash. I watched it thinking I have to just take note of exactly what I'm seeing so I will believe that it actually happened. You're standing in a stable and the camera is showing this feeding trough, and you just see these animals like eating up their food, and it's just they're spitting, they're nibbling at it, they're like eating what they just spat out. It's really gross. And you're just sitting there thinking about your own fitness to exist on a farm, because everyone knows, unfortunately, sometimes if you have a horse that's broken something, you may have to put it down. You know, sometimes within the farm, you can't have every animal stay living forever if they start getting all of these injuries. So I started thinking, you know, maybe I should be put down. Maybe they should just take me out of my misery, because I was in a lot of, I was like, all right, I get it. I see what they're trying to tell me. And so just life on the farm is not right. But okay, it was though. I mean, I really genuinely wanted to just be taken out of my misery. I wanted to be one of the horses, but you don't have the option of choosing where you are in the visualization. You don't have the option of choosing the color. And so I turned it off because you've heard what I had to say about it. I get it, whatever. Okay, I turned it off. 2 minutes later, I turned it back on because I was still in the hospital, and I had to watch the same ad again. So it was like, here at the University of Chicago, we have a hospital. And if you need to go to the hospital, do you know where you'd go? Do you have that in mind already? Like, why don't you consider here? There are many hospitals. It's like, oh, and so you watch it again, and then you're just stuck watching visualizations forever, because you know that if you turn it off, you're going to turn it back on, because there's genuinely nothing else. My phone had died. My wrist was swollen. There's nothing on TV. And I mean, maybe I don't watch any sports. If I buy a TV, I'm like, oh, is it Saturday night? I could watch SNL live, and it was not a Saturday night. And so then I just had to have visualizations on, had to have the farm, and it began to feel like I was the one who was on the verge of being euthanized. Where they're like, well, we love this horse, you know, we've had it for so many years. Yeah, you know, that other horse, it was good that we just put it down, but this old mare, we love her. And that was me to myself. So that was a rare time that I was not dealing with any depression or suicidal urges. And that did make me feel good, realizing I deserve to live. I deserve to be given a second chance to have some of this feed in the trough. And then I saw someone without an arm, and I thought, you know, maybe I should not be complaining, because I have an arm and I have a wrist. And then I beat myself up for that for a long time, all the while having visualizations. So then finally I got some pain meds. I waved someone down and asked, could I just have a tiny Tylenol? And they're like, well, best we can do is hydro. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I didn't know that was an option. And they're like, you're in pain, right? And I'm like, yeah, good point. And so that then took me from my misery of thinking those negative thoughts. So drugs could potentially be a good escape mechanism, I suppose, is the lesson from that. Sadly, though, you can't be in the hospital for so long and not seek that type of lesson or message. You're looking at the farm, and I just can't express to you. I mean, maybe some of you grew up in rural childhoods where it's like children of the corn. Oh, okay. Thank God. Children of the corn style, fear of the outdoors, but that is then what I felt. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Great. Thank you. Give it up for Helen Smith. That was wonderful. Thank you so much for the story. I enjoyed that. That was everyone give a round of applause for Helen. Thank you. So Rebecca's going to be the first to go up. I'm going to add a thing.
Awesome. Helen, I love that you keep bringing kind of like stories where, is this like a similar story to what like your Uber story, where it's just like, it's something that it happened to you and you're sort of just like digesting it through comedy and stuff, right? Is that what? Yeah, I love that. I think that I would give you this a similar note to what I gave you for the Uber story, and I think that we talked about this like even at the beginning of today of writing out your story and figuring out what is the exposition that people absolutely need to know. You do a great job of painting the picture and really setting us in the space. But I think that we could condense it a little bit because you have these pockets of humor that you could really explore if you just like do a short amount of exposition and then really swirl around in those pockets of comedy. A couple of moments where I thought like were potential places that you could really explore for comedy. When you talk about apparently there's this mysterious group of people, this mythological group of people that don't feel pain when they break bones. Like, you know, like the legend has it when a centaur breaks his leg, he does not feel it. He's completely fine. Like you can go off into like painting some legend of people who don't feel pain. I think that that would be a fun place for you to explore. I love like the commercial for the hotel. I think, or not the hotel, the hospital. But I think that that could be shortened quite like where it's just like you turn it on, it's an ad for the hospital. And the ad is just simply one question of like, do you know where you will go when you have an emergency? And then you answer it of like, yes, the hospital I'm sitting in right now. I think that that could be funny. And then you can have that question again, like that really fast question when you turn it back on, then there's the ad again. Do you know where you go? And it's like, I've already answered this question. I'm right here. And then moving on of just getting frustrated as you move on to telling the rest of your story. And then, at one point you did something very funny when you were acting out the horse eating the feed and everything, and you kind of did like a very flash of a blah, and I think that you could continue acting it out while describing it, acting it out, describing it, acting it out, and like having this funny moment of going back and forth and really painting that picture of a horse eating. It's pretty funny. So those are like my 3 suggestions of like pockets of comedy that you could explore, and then just writing out your story and figuring out what like how can I condense the exposition so that the comedy can really shine. But yeah, great job. Thank you for coming again.
That's what I do now. All right. So, all right. Thanks, Helen. No, I like that you have this very specific storytelling, like that's your thing. And I appreciate that. I love that you had a whole new story this time too. And that I feel like I'm sitting across from you. I really love the intimacy of sort of how you tell your story. And especially in Zoom, it's very easy not to, I feel like you're directly talking just to me, even though there was so many more people in the Zoom room. And I really appreciate that energy and vibe. I love that. I would say what Rebecca was saying too is just, because you have a lot of great thoughts, and a lot of ways is just writing it down and editing it just a little bit so you get that succinctness with certain just things. Because I love how your language is just so descriptive, and it's wonderful that way. Like how they were eating, like how you described them eating on the farm, and how you described just I loved how you did the commercial of the hospital. You did it perfectly. Like, hi. You remembered the whole bit. I thought that was wonderful. That was one of my favorite parts because it was such an easy switch for you. And I felt like I was watching the commercial with you. So I feel like this storytelling POV, as I call it, point of view, that's one of my favorite things to say, POV, is that you do a really good job with that. And that you can slip so easily into the next part of your story because of those descriptive words. And I appreciate that. I even think like you can even, that change in the tone of your voice was really good. And you can even go further of like, again, and then I enjoyed the rhythm a lot with I saw a picture of a ship, and it was called the ship. And then like, I saw people walking, and it was, and I don't want to give line readings or anything, but like, it was people, you can be like, what do you, people, and then I love that you were like, and then there was a roller coaster, and you could do the title, you could joke, you could do the rule of 3 if you wanted to, and sort of throw that away. But then also I love you're like, and that was the static picture that didn't move, which is a roller coaster should. So I love your descriptive quality. And I think that is and the intimacy and the way you do that is what your great strengths. I would say just editing down and feeling like, what is the points that you want to drive home? Because I loved the beginning with the statistics. I thought that was a really strong beginning to the story and sort of starting us off with that premise and then going through. And I love how, and I think just traveling there, because all that language that you have when it's so specific and descriptive can get you there maybe just a little bit quicker so that you can get all the things you want to say with just the less, the editing. And that you can figure out, like, with the long stories, what is the major punchline or the ones in between? Where are the cliffs, the I would say the highs and the lows of, like, where are we taking on the roller coaster, and figuring that out just really specifically so that you're making the impact you want with that story. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you. All right. Everyone give it up again for Helen Smith. Thank you. All right. We're grinding. We got Kathy O'Brien coming up. We're so excited. Thank you, Kathy. Everyone, let's give a round warm of applause there to Kathy O'Brien. Let me get her pinned and take me out. And I'm going to start your timer. All right, Kathy, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Thank you. You guys are so good with your feedback. It's really awesome. So the reality of the neighborhood where I live is that the neighbors rev their car engines for hours at a time, like every day. I don't get it. But if that was something that I want to do, it wouldn't work out so well because I own a Prius and you really can't hear the engine. So I'd be a little SOL with that. 4th of July sounded like a war zone in my neighborhood. And plus, like, they extend it to the 2nd of July, the 3rd of July, and the 4th. It's a weekend long. And I'm like, where do these people get these fireworks? I didn't even know a citizen could buy, like, fireworks that just go, like, way up in the air. I don't know. Plus there's guns and the dogs go crazy. I mean, it was just really unbelievable. 4th of July growing up for me was a neighborhood picnic. The kids put on a play. Then we went to Colonial Williamsburg and watched the fife and drums. And we did watch the fireworks there. It was very different. So my mother-in-law is an avid bird watcher. She holds an annual bird count with her Audubon Society friends at the Chesapeake Bay. One time I tagged along. I don't get how the bird count works. I spied an eagle, then I see another eagle. Maybe it's the same eagle. Who knows? I put on my list a flock of seagulls who, for the record, are not a great band. I was at my in-laws' mountain house. Around 30 bird watchers show up with highfalutin cameras and telescopes. They go up the mountain and stand there quietly for at least an hour. They get an A for patience. They come marching down the mountain. One excited guy yells, "Now I can cross golden-winged warbler off my list." I mean, if a bird gives you that much satisfaction, I figure you're gold for life. I talked to Shirley, who is wearing a shirt with an illustration of a tufted titmouse between her, well, you know. Shirley shows me a list of all the birds she has seen. It was a lot. I told Shirley the extent of the birds that I can identify are cardinals, blue jays, robins, crows, osprey, and seagulls. That's it. I was at the site of the bird count at the Chesapeake Bay. I don't have highfalutin, but I don't even have binoculars. Only my naked eyes. A flock of crows surrounds an osprey, crowing to chase it away. The osprey stands steadfast and upright. Eventually, the crows fly away, and the scene gives me hope. Nature mimics life. Bird watchers are an interesting bunch. I think Christopher Guest could make a movie about them and maybe call it Waiting for a Seagull. Anyway, there are much worse things that humans can do than watch birds, like shooting them. And that's pretty much it for me.
All right. Thank you, Kathy. Woo, everybody give it up for Kathy. Yes, woohoo. All right. I'm going to pin Rebecca so that, see, there we go. And feedback. Great job, Kathy. Thank you.
Kathy, that was really funny. I really love all your stuff about your birds and everything, where you're just like, I saw one eagle and then I saw another eagle. Could it be the same eagle? That was great. I had a couple of ideas just to kind of like, if you wanted to get more specific in your writing that I wrote down. First of all, you asked the question, like, where do all these people get all these fireworks? And I would love, like, whenever you ask a question, I think it's fun if you like suggest an answer to the question that you have, and it's completely bizarre of like, where do they get the fireworks? Do they go to this secret warehouse, have to knock twice and say the password and go down, and then you're handed 4 days worth of fireworks? And you can make that even more absurd. But I think that that's just a fun opportunity to get specific with your world building and stuff. I loved your line, they get an A for patience. I wrote down, they get an A for patience and an F for adrenaline rush. But if you wanted to play around with like that line, they get an F for something in the context of what bird watching is lacking. And then the other thing I wrote down was when you listed out the birds that you know, comedy can come from contrasts. And so you said that your friend had a huge long list. If you could make the list of the birds that you know even shorter, that can help up the comedy of it, because she's like, she had all these birds. I didn't know they had that many birds. I only know the birds that you can identify by color. Bluebird. That's it. So that's just something to kind of like explore and play around there, bring the contrast for that line. But that's all I had written. This is really fun. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. All right. So I'm gonna get myself, I've learned so much tonight about technology. So, all right. So, hey, Kathy, thank you. I really like your energy.
Thank you.
I also, yeah, no, I like it because it's sort of just, there's just something very, I don't know, if like conversation, but just sort of here, you know what I'm thinking? It just sort of comes out. It's very natural. And I appreciate that. Just for the things I like your background. I like that I see you're outside and stuff. Just think about if you want, I would love to see the lighting. I don't know, not that I'm someone, I've done this show in a closet with like a book light. So I'm not saying I'm an expert on lighting, but just knowing that this is your world. So for however you want us to, whatever it's going to enhance or know about you, because we get to actually really control this world, you know, and sort of if it can help us or not, you know, or say something with us, with you, you know, about you or not. But I like that there's flowers. I feel like outside, sort of the topics you were talking about, like 4th of July and things. So I wrote that. I love your energy. I love the bird stuff. I thought about the A for, you know, the patience, and the bird gives you, what did I write? Sorry, I'm trying to read my writing. The bird gives you that rush, you know, like you're doing good in life, like you're good. I really like that. Like you could maybe bring in other comparisons of things that would be just as thrilling, you know, like you're a good flosser. I don't know, like things like that. You can add, like, there's, you know, make comparisons. There's great rules of 3 there. You can do like, you know, 2 things that are sort of normal or something sort of off the wall. I liked your choice of words with a lot of things, like highfalutin. Because like with bird watching, kind of like, I feel like that's a highfalutin, like I don't know, there was something about that word choice that I liked a lot. And I'd say, hold up the book. So you look like you were reading, was you reading about your list, your bird list? That felt like you were reading it. You can make it. I am a fan of trying props and seeing how it works. But if you wanted to be like, let's look at this together, my list, even if it's like, and here it is, it's this. Like that's it. You don't even have to show us the words, but kind of have it up because you looking down, we didn't get to see all of your face. If you want to even prop it up a little higher so we know it's there, just having a hint of it, that might help with just the sight line and having it there. But it also can be a little, moment with your book of like, or maybe it's the tiniest notebook. I don't know. Just like here, it's a Post-it. I don't know, something that you can have a little fun with that. I loved waiting for a seagull flock. Oh, that was awesome. I thought that was a lot of fun. And I thought that was a really fun way, and that agree with everything that Rebecca said. And I would think that the end of your set, because you said that's what I pretty much got. And I know this is a feedback mic, but I want, if that you say, and thank you, that's all I have tonight till I see another bird or something. You can but having some sort of button at the end so that, because I was unsure actually if that's all you had. I was like, oh, okay, it's done. So I want to just having that sort of how we go into a set, sort of welcoming energy, and then sort of we've all kind of have an agreement that the set has now is done together, and we're all like, okay, thanks, like sort of that sort of feeling at the end. All right, but thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Everybody, another round for Kathy O'Brien. All right, we have our final comedian tonight, who everyone's been so great tonight. And we want to give a same big warm welcome to Wesley Williams. So I'm gonna get you, yes, woo!
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna add a pin. I'm gonna remove myself. It's all gonna be all you, and I'm gonna start that timer. All right.
Oh, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. No, lately I've been actually thinking about my childhood, and I actually grew up with deaf parents. I grew up speaking sign language and everything, and so one thing that surprises a lot of people when I tell them that even though my parents can't hear anything, they do enjoy music. But the music has to be heavy bass so they could feel the vibrations. A cappella, no good. They hated Jersey Boys, so I found that out. It was challenging having deaf parents at times, because it's a lot of responsibility. Even as a boy, I could barely speak. Some of my first words were I'd be in a restaurant with my dad, and I'd have to say to the waitress, "Daddy, go pee pee. Where bathroom?" And so that was challenging. The other thing, I love my mom. I love my mom so much. Thing about her is she because she can't hear, she doesn't know how loud she gets when she doesn't know how loud she gets. So I'd be around that same age with her in the store, bothering her about He-Man figures, and then all anyone can hear in the store is, "You want a man? You want a man? Why you want a man?" So He-Man is what I was trying to get across to her. But growing up, the thing about growing up with deaf parents was always watching television with the closed caption, with the words at the bottom, and that had its own benefits. I'd be at school and my teacher would ask, "Did you do the reading last night?" And I could confidently say, yes. I read a whole season of SpongeBob SquarePants. So that's I was being honest, and the closed captioning, it was okay. It bothered me sometimes because I love detective shows, and so sometimes you've probably seen this if you have subtitles on it, it's not always synced. So sometimes the words say who did it before the detective says it, and I wouldn't mind that in my real life. It would give me a heads up. When I was with my girlfriend at the time, and she said we need to talk, I could say, let me stop you right there. I know what you're gonna say. I'll see my way out. And but the one place where it also had its benefits of having deaf parents was parent-teacher conference, because I was the interpreter, and so my teacher would say, oh, he's not, Wes is not doing well in math. And I could say to my mom, all A's, and Wes is being disruptive. I could say to my mom, oh, he's a perfect angel. Wes took $267 from the senior fund. And I could say to my mom, 2 thumbs up. And so that sign language is universal. But the other thing was, so one thing growing up is I couldn't call across the room to my parents. I could say, oh, hey, mom, they can't hear. So one thing growing up was hitting the ground with my foot and everything. And so they could feel the vibrations and everything. That's something we did at home, and it became a habit. It's something, it was something that carried over into school. If I needed my teacher, I couldn't help myself. I hit the ground with my foot. That did have some benefit. I did it all through school. It culminated with being the lead in the senior production of Stomp. So there was some benefit. So I am going to leave it there. But thanks so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Give it up for Wes Williams. Woo! Nice. Let me add that. So I'm going to get Rebecca talking to you. There we go. All right. Nice job, everyone. Give one more round. That was awesome. Thank you.
Wesley, this was a joy. This was a great joy. My first boyfriend, he had, still has, I'm sure, deaf parents. And so just like, you're just like bringing back all these memories for me. Time I was like joking around with this mom, trying to like call her a liar, and I called her ugly by accident.
Right.
So it killed it. I killed it. But okay, so this is really fun. You had some really awesome jokes in here. I like wrote down 2 suggestions for you just to explore if you want.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So when your mom's in the store and she's like, you want a man, you want a man, you want a man. You kind of went back into your current day self, but I'm wondering if you could like almost like after that go into like your kid response of like, He-Man, mom, like the fun contrast of like she's really mad and you're like a really embarrassed kid.
Yes.
And mom, just to kind of like show the discomfort, and I think that could get an extra giggle out of it. And then I loved your joke about reading the whole season of SpongeBob. I had a delivery suggestion for you of like, if it's almost like a misdirection, if you want to set it up of just like, did you do the reading last night? You're like, oh yeah, I read an entire season of SpongeBob.
Yes.
Like that. But they're really fun jokes. So there were just like some suggestions just to make them a little bit, potentially a little punchier. But this was really fun. Thank you so much for coming and doing your set. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Myself for a second. All right. Hey, I really enjoyed that. And I know it's always being the final comedian too, going in through it. So thank you. I really, I love the hated Jersey boys. That really made me, because I love that you really start with that and you're sharing a part of your life. I often think, and this is something you'll hear me say, like being authentic, going back to like Helen and her storytelling and things like that. Everybody pulling from your life, which pretty much everyone did tonight. Like everyone just pulling from that, but they're very personal experience, because that's really, we feel that as an audience, but also it's great ground for all this wonderful ideas in comedy. So I love the hated Jersey boys. I mean, just that was fun and different things. I will say it's funny that Rebecca had said be a kid with the He-Man. I wrote that down, be a kid, no He-Man, like being super quiet, doing that contrast and going back. Because I always look for opportunities, especially with Zoom, that you are taking the opportunities to make it just more of like interactive and that you're there and present, because it's very different than being in the club and, doing the gig live. But so I always love breaking up that energy and making the stories as animated as possible and stuff. And this is a great opportunity for that. So being that, I love TV with the closed captions, the whole season. Yes, that was one of my favorites of SpongeBob SquarePants. So and I love SpongeBob SquarePants because everyone knows, and then you start thinking the song SpongeBob SquarePants. So everyone, you get a lot of you hit a lot of specific references from like generation I know. So just you can always play around with that depending on your audience of like what things might hit, you might think be more resonating, right? I love who did it, the closed caption. I had this idea of like, you talk about like when your girlfriend comes in to talk to you and you could have seen all the captions, like maybe you say like what the captions are. I don't know, there's some ideas. And basically, sorry, I have a small child right next to me. Okay, I'll be right there. So one more time, 5 more minutes, honey. So basically we have, so I'm and being a little kid, there you go. If you need a guide, she's right there for you. Basically watching a whole season of SpongeBob SquarePants if she can, but the whole closed caption, like you see, like saying what the closed caption is for the girlfriend before she comes in and being like, or just playing with that idea. I also had this idea about, I loved the parent teacher stuff, the conference. And you said all A's, like you did the symbol, I don't. Oh, yeah. Have you thought about how you incorporate sign language, since that's the premise of everything, of bringing that into your act and using that? Because I think that it's such a powerful, it's such a personal, it's a big part of your life, but using that, and not that it's necessarily has to be a platform for it, but it is a part of your life. It is a part of your vocabulary and a part of the experiences you're talking about, that I feel like that's something worth exploring and making it a specific choice of when you use the sign language. I think the parent teacher conference stuff, and you can really enact it, like you being the kid to them, being like, oh yeah, and acting out and being like the teacher's there and having that sort of be a scene, and how you use your hands with that. And I would say, look at your whole set about where you might want to use that and to make an impact, however you want that impact to be. Does that make sense? Because that's an asset.
Absolutely.
Especially because it also can bring in comedy to people who are, to a whole different audience. So I would say you have real power here to use it for good. No, use it for good in that way. So I would say that's my major note would be like, because I thought it was just so fascinating. It was like, since I know it so well, where you use it and how you use it in your act.
That sounds great.
Well, thank you, everyone. Another round of applause. Thank you to all the comedians tonight. I'm gonna now make sure that I get everyone in gallery view here. That's left. Thank you guys so much for staying with us. And I am going to get to the script that I have to read. All right. A big thank you to my co-host, Rebecca. Thank you so much. To the comedians for being so open to feedback and being willing with my technical lack of prowess there through the whole night. Thank you so much. And of course, to our awesome audience. Again, if you want to support the stream, you can do so at districtcomedy.io, or as Tom might say, District Comedy at right there. If you want to be on the show, you can sign up using the same link. See you all next week and have a great night. I'm gonna end.